to the library. Perhaps I was going to school, but this is what I have heard, that he has been a constant user of the library. There is also this Dio Foster, somebody who has written, you should read that book, a very, very good, fantastic book. We used to call this child a bookworm. He would always, from after school or even whenever she is on break, at the library to read and read and read. For Gambians really to come up with good books, they really have got to read and read and read.
The summer holidays are almost over. The library attracts many students who capitalize on the serene environment to read or do something meaningful. Things are now changing. Instead of chattering and engaging in gossip, a lot of students are also beginning to focus their attention on issues that have a bearing on their academic studies rather than abstract subjects that are obscure. Weekend Spectrum.
Well, and the Director General of the National Library, Abdul Wadi Boy, has soured praises on 3 Gambian writers. That's Dio Foster, Maudou Sabari, and Nana Gray Johnson. Just underlining the importance of reading, especially for those going to school.
Well, yes, Mo, indeed. And the likes of Mamadou Sabali, who is considered one of Gambia's emerging writers. Well, I think a lot of students now are making good use of the National Library. I think it's evident in the report. We see a lot of students who are very much interested in not only reading their notes in the library because it is quiet, but also having to read other materials of the library and including our very own Gambian writers.
Okay, that's impressive.
Indeed.
As part of a regional payments and settlement system initiative, the Central Bank of the Gambia, in collaboration with 13 commercial banks, has embarked on a modernization of the country's payments and settlement system infrastructure. As we hear in this report, these reforms will have far-reaching consequences on the Gambia's financial and banking sector and will bring it in line with international standards. The Central Bank of the Gambia is the main regulator of the banking and financial industry in the country. It instituted a series of reforms to modernize this sector and bring it in line with international standards. The bank, under the leadership of its governor, Amadou Koli, recently embarked on the modernization of the Gambia payments, clearing and settlement system infrastructure. This initiative, according to Governor Koli, is part of the Central Bank's strategic vision of modernizing the payments, settlement and clearing system. Take this pause, of modernizing the payments and settlement system into a world-class standard comparable to the rest of the world.
African Monetary Institute, which is based in Accra in Ghana, in collaboration with the Central Bank of the Gambia and other sister central banks, collaborated to implement what is called modern payment systems. This is essentially to modernize the payment systems in these 3 countries, and they are 4 countries rather, namely the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia. The Gambia was chosen as the pilot site, and this project, for your information, is funded by the African Development Bank.
The key components of the financial reforms are the automated check processing, automated check handling ACP, ACH, security settlement system SSS, real-time gross settlement system RTGS, and the national switch or GAM switch. The ACP is a check scanning and clearing system to handle the automation of check scanning among all the 13 commercial banks in the country. The automated clearing house, on the other hand, enables the banks to electronically handle and exchange checks, particularly for recurring payments such as salaries and insurance premiums, amongst others. This automated clearinghouse, based at the Central Bank building, will now replace the manual clearinghouse, which brought together representatives of all the 13 banks to manually exchange checks.
Checks would have to become, and all the commercial banks would have to be present, and the exchange will be done, through the banks, all the 13 banks, and the net settlement at the end of the day is done in the central bank here. They would have to go to their commercial banks and distribute the check to the branches and the head office and start inputting into the benefit customers account manually. And basically the minimum the check will be cleared is 3 days. It can go 4 days, 5 days, depending on the location.
Central Bank, under the new system, stipulates that all checks cleared under the ACP, ACH must have a correct basic bank account number BBAN printed on the bottom of the check leaf and the magnetic ink character recognition code mica line. These checks, according to central bank officials, must be handled with care and should not be soiled, folded, stapled, or written on below the mica line. Customers shall be able to draw checks of any amount for cash withdrawal at their drawers banks. However, they will not be able to settle their obligations to another bank above the 100,000 threshold and have to use the real-time gross settlement system, which enables the movement and transfer of bulk amounts above the 100,000 threshold.
And we also have the ACP, ACH, and the automated clearing house, which also take into all the other payments. We are below the threshold that RTGS will settle, because RTGS is also working on a platform which is expensive, and we believe that there should be a threshold for the value of the transaction going through it, and that is why we have these two components for smaller value transaction going through the ACP, ACH, and you have the large value transaction going through the RTGS for efficiency and cost management.
Switch or GAM switch, as it is popularly called, is also another important component of the new reforms. The GAM switch will enable customers use their ATM cards to withdraw money from any bank connected to the switch.
Customers going to supermarkets, for instance, or to shops, you effect payment of transaction using a debit card or credit card or other systems similar to what you have in the West, where if you have a card of, say, NatWest, you can withdraw money in HSBC. That is the system that the switch is going to bring about. To the extent, if you are a customer of, say, Standard Chartered Bank, you can still withdraw money from Guaranteed Trust Bank or any other commercial bank. And as you are aware, some of the commercial banks in this country don't have ATMs of their own. That will be a thing of the past once the switch takes off.
This new system of electronic check processing has numerous benefits for the country's banking and financial industry.
Manual payment systems, particularly for checks which are settled through the Banjul Clearing House at the Central Bank of the Gambia, has got several disadvantages. One key disadvantage is that it is cumbersome. It takes a very long time to clear a check, talking about 3 to 5 business days. That is unacceptable in the modern financial system, and therefore the modernization would bring down the life cycle of clearing a check to something like 1 day. In other words, you can clear a check in a day.
In addition, the new system allows for the processing of checks within 24 to 48 hours as opposed to 34 or more days under the manual system. For the central bank, therefore, the reforms will help bring about a common payment system for the West African Monetary Zone to achieve a quick, efficient, secure and reliable settlement system, and also support the free movement of capital to stimulate trade.
In our Talk to Weekend Spectrum segment, we turn our attention to our colleague newscaster Fatou Camara, who is putting up an elaborate entertainment program as part of activities marking 4 years since he started her show on the national broadcaster.
Thank you very much, Fatou Camara, for talking to the Weekend Spectrum on this brief interview concerning the 4th year anniversary of the Fatou Show program on GRTS. As one of our colleagues here and a newscaster, you've been doing this program for 4 years running. Yes. How easy or difficult has it been for you to come every week, twice, Thursday and Saturday, to host this, I must say, popular program?
Well, thank you very much, Balde. This is the second time I'm being on the Weekend Spectrum. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, when I started the program and looking at the feedback that we're getting from the people, that kind of like put me in a corner, whereas I cannot stop the program. I have to come and make sure that it is on weekly as scheduled, because a whole lot of people look forward to this program every Thursday. Even if we don't put what's coming next, people will start sending email messages on my inbox asking me what's going to come on the Fatou Show. So if I look at that and look at the over 12,000 fans that we have on our Facebook page, that kind of pushed me to not stop it and make sure that I do everything possible to make sure that the program stays on air. And also we have a contract with the sponsors, that is Comium. And with contracts, you have to be very serious about them. And commitment is very, very important, and that's what we put to the show.
I mean, how did you see the change? I remember when you started the program, Grts was not on satellite.